as a cross-country runner, and with anybody that's an athlete, you know you got to practice for several days, weeks, months, however long before you have a race or event for your certain sport. In this case, college classes are like a marathon. It's like training for a marathon. You got to work every day until your final exam. And I'm going to give a brief explanation on how to deal with the most difficult classes in college. So your calculus, your organic chemistry, anatomy, statistics, your 304 level courses. So first of all, this is the biggest problem for a lot of people, go to class, okay? Don't just go to class, but actually pay attention in class. Listen to what the professor has to say. Don't just zone off into the distance the entire class period. And the biggest thing in class is you have this great opportunity to ask questions about homework, terminology, anything you don't really understand. And another thing is you get to learn the professor's preferences. So in this class, he may teach something about speech, and it may be totally different on what he takes a test over compared to maybe what my roommate has in his speech class. Same class, different professors. So it really depends on what your professor preferences are. And you also get to learn their format of tests and things like that. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the study skills required to pass a class that's very difficult. So we learned in 7th and 8th grade, freshman year high school, or however long, use flashcards, use study guides, make practice problems, all that kind of thing. But we don't really ever study for an extended period of time, and we don't ever rework homework problems. And reworking homework problems is a big deal in college, especially for your super hard math classes. The next step is to use all your resources. So some of us may use, the internet, and that's it, all through high school. I know I use the internet probably for 3 out of my 4 papers all through high school. But in college with hard classes, you can't do that. You got to use your library, you got to use office hours, you need to use YouTube, you got to use textbooks. There's tons of different resources, and just taking a little bit from each one is going to help you in your difficult classes. So everyone has their own personal way of learning things, and we don't always know how we do this. Well, you can actually take a test online to learn how you learn. Some people are auditory learners, which means they learn best by hearing, some visuals, they see it, and some are kinesthetic, which means they're really good at learning with their hands. Now, luckily, as college students and as people, we usually specialize in 2 of the 3 areas whenever we take a test. And this is good because as college students, most of the time we don't have hands-on applications. So we get to pick one of those 2 other options as our good way of learning. So the next thing, as far as personal things you need to learn, is you need to learn what your attention span is. Me personally, I can sit and read or listen to a professor for about an hour, and then it's time for me to zone off for 15 minutes. You really need to learn how long you can sit and do an assignment before you need a break. Your efficiency after your attention span goes off just plummets, and you're basically spending time on something and you're not really learning anything. One thing we also have issues with the attention span is multitasking. Some of us think we're really good multitaskers. Even the best multitaskers are going to have a better time studying and getting more knowledgeable about their classes if they don't multitask. This kind of leads into the whole time management thing. As I said, you can only study for so much amount of time before you have to take a break. So with a 3-hour credit class, 3 credit hour class, you should be spending about 4.5 hours a week on that class. So about 50 minutes a night. This is the part of the speech where it's kind of explains why you need to train for a marathon or why you need to prepare for a class. You wouldn't spend the day before a marathon running 100 miles and then expect to do good the next day. That's the same thing with doing an all-nighter studying. You wouldn't expect to do well on a test. You shouldn't expect to do well on a test the next day if you just spend 8 hours studying the day before. It's similar, they go hand in hand. So for a harder class, it may be 5 credit hours. That means you should be spending 90 minutes per night, 5 days a week, okay? That's a big chunk, but it's a 5 credit hour class. You should expect that. You should expect to spend that much time, okay? And it's not like you have nothing to do during this time each night. Use this time for homework, and whatever time you have left over, spend 15 minutes memorizing rules, okay? It's 15 minutes on top of homework. It's really not that much. You can study your harder concepts during this time, or you can read the material from the book for the next day, and maybe you won't have to pay attention to class. So, the last part of this is, well, we have to spend most of our points on tests and exams. Well, the tests and exams are the hardest part. And before you take a test or exam, you need to get sleep. And you need to not do it all night, as I already explained. And you need to take at least 1 day off a week. Okay? And the biggest part with taking tests is you have to have some sense of where you stand on the material. The actual term for this is called metacognition. You need to know where you stand on the material before you go and take the test. When you get good at this, you can say, as soon as you walk out of the test, I got a B on that, I got an A on that, I got a C on that. And that's a really good tool to have for test taking and anything of that sort. I hope this explained a little bit on how to become better at taking difficult classes. If you do this, you're bound to do a little bit better, and you're bound to at least pass the most difficult classes you're going to encounter.